This is the buck I shot on November 20th. This just happens to be, I believe, April 24th. It's been out in the garage for almost, well, over 5 months now, and it smells that way. Anyhow, we're going to make a European mount out of this buck. And I got a unique display plan, and we're going to take you through the operation. So we got to get the head skinned off and get him boiled out. And I think you're going to enjoy the outcome of this. So let's get started. Put it in a boil pot. Trying to loosen that hide up. It's tougher than leather. Oh, should have been done a long time ago. Well, we got a good boil going there. Normally I don't do that with the hide on, but normally I don't leave it out in the garage for 5 months either. But, so we'll soften that hide up, and then we can get it off a lot easier. Well, there it is. It's still steaming in the pot. You can see we pulled it out. Help of the pressure washer. Got it cleaned out. And, I tell you, Mother Nature was already starting to take its course on there. There was maggots up there in the brain. I'd rather talk about it than show you what it looked like. Might gross some people out, but 5 months of laying around, flies finally got out. But that's Mother Nature's way of getting, you know, nothing goes to waste. So when you guys lose a big buck like this, don't feel too bad. I mean, Mother Nature will reclaim it. And like I said, those maggots were in that skull pretty good. It just looked like a bowl of rice. So now we got it cleaned up. We'll let it dry out. Touch it up with some paint and make it pop. Look, because we're trying to make it look as artistic as we can. And but that didn't take too long. Put it in the pot, boiled it out. Another thing, Christmas gift list. You know, a burner works good to boil that stuff out. That's how I do all my bones. So I mean, less than $100, and you can do that and have a lot of fun with it. Well, we got the deer soaking in some bleach to try to make sure we get all the nasty smell out of it. Not a whole lot of bleach, mild solution. You want to make sure when you put that bleach on it that it doesn't impregnate the bone, because if you don't get that rinsed off, it'll just keep deteriorating the bone and the bone will fall apart. I learned that the hard way. So just a little bit of bleach goes a long way. Basically, you just want to make it sanitized, and if there's any smell, you can get rid of it with that. But what we're going to do, being this was a special buck, it had over 23,000 views on it on my YouTube channel, and that's great. I mean, I'm not really into that. I mean, if 2 people looked at it, that'd be fine with me. But it did, and I wanted to honor it for that. And in doing so, I'm going to incorporate a real special European mount. And in doing so, I'm going to use a moose shed antler that I found up in Canada a few years back. This piece of rod that I bought at the local hardware store, and I got to cut it to fit. And I picked this up at Hobby Lobby. I was going to go with old 35mm film reels, but I couldn't really find any. And I was in there shopping one day, and to my dismay, I found this rigmarole. Now, how this is going to come out is, I think I got a pretty good plan. And remember, your imagination in the world is your limitation. So we're going to make something, and I think you'll really enjoy the outcome of these here several different items that we've put together. And so we'll get at it and try to keep you involved as we move through the process. Now, somebody probably wondered how I know my way around the shop, if I have any validity at all. Back in the 1960s, 68, I was working for a man serving a government-funded apprenticeship as a tool and die maker. The man had 7 kids. And when I worked in his shop, he was the most smartest, intelligent man that you will ever meet. My life was plus or minus 1,000 back then. I didn't see much future in that, because I knew I could go shovel dirt for $7.50 an hour. That seemed more exciting to me. But that's where I picked up my trades, learning out my way around the machine shop. I served 4 years as an apprentice in the tool and die making industry, and it served me well still to this day. So that's how I know how to make some of these projects. And over here we're going to drill a hole in this spacer. Gotta go pretty slow, it's pretty thin stuff. Reason I'm taking you along is to show you what you can do on your own. The other day, the last video, we used a mountain mic store-bought product, and it worked fine. Today we're going to use our own Yankee ingenuity and create something one-up that no one else will have, and that's what's going to make this deer just that much more special. So it'll go slow, but I'll try to keep you bringing you along with what we're doing. Yeah, now that we got that bracket, a little shim made there, it'll just slide right over the shaft. And the reason we got to make that is because the metal on this reels is awful thin, so this is going to add support to it. So when we bolt it down, we'll be bolting down to something a whole lot more solid to give it more strength, so it doesn't have a tippy event. Yeah, we want this little piece to fit right in here, and you notice this is curved. So we're going to take this socket and make this here, dent this down so it'll fit that curvature. It's pretty simple. Nothing rocket science about that. We'll just lay it across the vise here. Get it about centered up where we want that. That looks pretty good. You can eyeball that. Lay that socket right there. Little tap. That should bring that right in line. There you go, presto. I got that to fit that curvature. Now this fits flat. And like I say, that's going to strengthen that up. So that's why we did that. Trying to keep you informed step by step. Okay, we've got this bracket, as you can see. We've got it welded, or not welded, clamped on the outside because we're going to have to drill a hole through there. But it was real critical to make sure that that hole is going to come out right, so when we put it together, it's going to go perfectly straight up and down, because this is where the deer is going to mount to. Right here, this is where we're going to have the deer mounting. It's going to come out the other way, but that way we've got this lined up with this hole. When we drill this hole through here, that everything is going to be straight up and down. So we clamp that bracket that we just made on the outside. Now we'll take our hand drill and drill down through there. Now you want to make sure that you keep this as clean as you can, because this outside surface is finished product and you don't want it all scuffed up. So we'll take our drill and drill down through this hole, and then that'll give us where we're going with it. Okay, we got the hole drilled in there now. So once we had that smaller hole, now we can come back in with the bigger drill and drill it out to size without doing a whole lot of pressure on it. Gotta watch it. Yeah, now that we had that hole drilled in there, you can see better off what we were doing. I take this back apart. That's the spacer. That's going to strengthen that up when we tighten it down. That comes up in there, And what we want to do is we'll take that right there. That's going to go through. That hole is going to go right through there, and that's what we're going to hang the deer on when we get it done with a little more fabrication. Now what we'll have to do is drill a hole through the shed antler and put threads on this both ways so we can tighten it down both ways, and then that'll really make it real rigid. Yeah, we got to get about 2 inches of threads cut on the end of the shaft, and that'll take a while. 3/8 thread. We need about 2 inches up there so we can go down through that antler with it. So, cutting threads. Now you can see we got the threads cut on there all the way up there. And the antler's going to come on, then we'll put a nut up on top and a washer so we can clamp that together when we put it on the antler. Okay, now we got our spacer that we made to strengthen that. We got that on, we got the threads put on the end of that. Now this moose antler, it has an imperfection right there, and that's where we're going to drill our 3/8 hole down through here, because it's got like a little divot right there, and that's where we're going to set that bottom reel. It'll set right in there real nice, and so we're going to go down through that hole right now. We're taking and drill a hole through there, and then that'll protrude out the bottom, and then we can bolt it from the top and the bottom. That's why we had to make those threads that long, so we can put a washer and a nut on top of this and a washer and nut on the bottom, so that we can tighten it together. Other than that, it'll just be pulling it from one direction. So we'll get that hole drilled. Yeah, we'll go down through there with this drill, and we'll do this freehand. Try to keep it looking as level as you can from all directions. Pretty hard to do that on drill press, so here we go. Make sure you got the bits. I like these keyless chucks. They never do stay tight. There we got the hole drilled down through there now. Pretty simple, pretty simple. Now you can see that will take, and that'll go right down through there, and should work out pretty fine. Well, like anything goes, when you start out, you may have to make changes. We've got our rod here. We've got it threaded up. We got our spacer on there. That'll help support it. We got our nut on the top. We're going to go down, up through there, back down, slide that down tight. That worked out pretty good. We took that, there was a piece of material here that I was going to go through the hole with, but that didn't pan out right. So what we have to do is improvise. We've got the hole drilled in the antler. Place that in there. Got a big flat, what they call these are fender washers. You can see how big it is, big flat fender washer. It's going to go on the bottom. And then we got one more washer and a lock washer. Then we'll add put the nut on there and tighten it down. That way we can tighten it from the top and the bottom. That was why we had that. We put that nut on the top. Get it squared up there a little bit. Now this is done solely out of your imagination. There's no instruction book here, so sometimes you will go backward as you progress or proceed into a project. That's understandable, because like I say, it's up here is where the blueprint is. It's not on a piece of paper. So you're building as you go. And as you can see, we tighten that down. Now here was a nice thing, I can come behind here and tighten this other nut down and bring it down real snug. And so it's actually tightening right down. Now, there you go, that's pretty rigid. We're going to hang the skull on here, and but that was utilized. You can see it's really sturdy. Got 3/8 rod running up through the back of there, and it doesn't take all that long. And we recycled that moose shed that I found up in Canada a few years back, and got something useful out of that. And we'll come back and get the deer skull mounted on this big reel, and that'll give it some character and show respect for the deer. It wasn't an overly large deer, but then again, not too many people can get them on video like that either. And I appreciate you as the viewers watching it. Right now there's almost 24,000 views on that, so this will honor that deer in a real neat fashion, I believe. But and we used our intelligence. We used Mother Nature's gift that she gave us, that antler, and we did it all on our own, and we didn't have to follow no one's lead. And that's what I'm trying to get the fire built under you people out there. I'm the match, per se. If I can get the fire lit to get your imagination burning, you don't need all this doodah stuff that's sold out there to hunt with today. This is your factory up here. Put it in gear, engage it, and build your own legacy of thought out there in the field. And when you do that and you harvest an animal, you'll feel so much better because you did it with your thoughts, not somebody else's over-the-counter product. Well, that's it for the shop right now. Okay, as you can see now, we've got the mount stand, basically the fabrication of it all done. We've got a 3/8 bolt up here, and how that's going to do is going to kick the head out so it's not pointing down. We got this, we had to bend this hook, it's 3/8. We've got that, so that skull will actually hang on this hook, and then it'll touch on this 3/8 bolt. You won't see that. It's very stable. Like I say, we've taken the antler and that we found the moose shed, and we drilled the hole down through there. It's really, really solid. It's tipped back a little bit, as you can notice. It's got a slant back, and I intended that to do that so that when the weight gets on it, if it does pull it somewhat forward, that won't go past center. So it's going to work really, really nice. And now all we have to do is get the skull itself prepped up and looking pretty, and then we'll hook it on there, and that'll be done. That'll be the video book of 2014. Well, here's the finished product, folks. And this is the 26th day of April 2015. This guy today made 24,000 views. Now, I realize that's not a feather in my hat at all. It was really a tremendous day that day of the 20th of November 2014, and how that played out, a less than desirable shot ended up being pretty cool because the deer didn't run out of view, and I was able to keep the camera rolling and get it when it tipped over. So it came out pretty neat all the way around for me and the buck, because like I say, it didn't die in vain, and we did send it to immortality. 24,000 people across the world have seen that buck now in that footage. So that's pretty awesome. I didn't seek that. I don't seek stardom. I'm just sharing things with you. I showed you how to take an antler from the Nipigon bush that I found shed when I was up there hunting. I found that shed, utilized it for a stand. your imagination is your limitation. Small imagination, small, you're going to be highly limited. Put this together out in the shop. You've seen how it came about. You can do the same thing. The hunt doesn't stop at the hero pictures. That's just the beginning. But if you have a small imagination, you're going to be a real limited person. Go out there, you see something, you put you into it. That's me and Debbie into this right here. And I'm really proud to call that a trophy, and I thought that would be a cool way to honor it, to come up with that theme. So that's it from the non-typical Norwalkian.
There's something pretty neat. I looked in the stand this morning. I looked down and I seen that antler. And turn around. Right there's the stand. Moose had been standing right here. Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's not a bad buck. I don't think there's a bad buck out there. Got some nice tall G2s. He's going to be right at Pope and Young minimum score. But the thing that made him the trophy was how close I got to him and taking it on video by yourself. When you take one by yourself on video and you get a good clean shot, that's worth something. And it was a cold morning and beautiful morning. There was 15 does in here bedded, and he came in here to rile them up, and I thought, you know, and I haven't seen anything exceptionally large on the cameras, so this one will go in my book. So that's it from the non-typical Norwalkian. It's cold out.